Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to another episode of the Man Knows Hip Hop podcast. We're already in February of 2022. That's absolutely crazy. So this is what our second episode so far. Like we're slacking, bro. Like you know what I mean. We gotta step it up.
I know, man. Life, man. Sometimes it interrupts the flow, man. But we're here. We're coming, man.
We're here, bro. We're here. So as you know, man, I'm your boy Slack. And I'm here with my co-host extraordinaire,
E Major, and this is Man Knows Hip Hop, the podcast that knows and celebrates hip hop.
Yeah, man. So thank you for rocking with us each and every time, as per usual. This week we're gonna go with the Hip Hop Hall of Fame. Now, the reason that this came about was we keep seeing all this talk about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and all of this kind of stuff, and hip hop artists being inducted into this this Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And I just keep asking the question: why are you putting us in there? Why are you putting us in a Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? We need our own Hall of Fame. Hip hop needs its own Hall of Fame. It needs its own space. Considering it was a genre that was trash, wouldn't last, all of that. It's now the number one genre in the world. It's now basically pop music, right? So I think it needs its own Hall of Fame, bro. You know what I mean? I think we need to have our own. So there's not gonna be no arguments about why is this person being inducted and this person ain't. Like Eminem being inducted over Wu-Tang is a travesty of justice of the highest order. Eminem didn't debut until what, 99? That was his official
99
debut.
Yeah.
You telling me that this dude is above like a slew of people in the 80s and 90s? Like there's something not right, and I'm sick of the Grammys and all of these awards giving this dude, all kinds of awards for trash music. Don't get me wrong, he's achieved a lot, but there's no way you're telling me that he's getting inducted before certain people, man. So F that. We're doing the Hip Hop Hall of Fame today. That's what we're doing.
100%.
Right, man. Yeah, man. So what we've done is he has picked who he would induct, and I picked who I would induct as a jump off for the Hip Hop Hall of Fame. And we welcome all your comments as well. Like I'm sure that we would have forgotten some people, that you guys would have said, how come you ain't got him? Why come you ain't got her? Or what about that group or whatever it may be? That's all good, man. It's just a discussion piece. And I think, it's something that we need to seriously think about. Like, why don't we have our own? And we've definitely got enough people, enough resources, enough talent, enough everything to have our own, celebrate our own culture. So let's jump off, bro. So what would you say would be like the criteria? Because you made a point off camera about like the WWE having their own Hall of Fame, not really having a set criteria about what you have to do to be part of that. So what would you say would have to be like a criteria for a hip hop Hall of Fame?
Yeah, man. Like you said, man, WWE, they just kind of, if you've held a certain amount of titles or you've got a certain level of popularity, certain time after you retire, you know what I mean, you're more than likely going to be inducted, you know what I'm saying? Obviously with hip hop, music, I should say, there's not really any, as we always say, there's not any sort of right or wrong. There's opinions, who people enjoy and all that. People can have bigger runs, people can be popular. You're always going to have a group of people that ain't liking or enjoying that particular artist or what have you. But I think if we're doing a Hip Hop Hall of Fame, it has to be totally or as unbiased as possible. Do you know what I'm saying? I think what we need to consider when we're looking at a Hall of Fame, I think the biggest, most important things. Yeah. Because what you're saying is the Hall of Fame. We're saying that, you know what, these people have impacted the culture, impacted beyond the culture and so on and so forth. So I think impact, definitely. I think longevity could be considered. Maybe not always the case, but that could be a deciding factor. Also look at your run. Now, I may contradict myself later on, but I think your run is an important thing to consider as well. Like just having one.
Their runs are sticky though, because
100.
I keep seeing this on the timeline as well. Like people keep talking about Wayne versus Jay-Z, and it's almost like some kind of illness that people have where they feel like they need to put Wayne over Jay. I don't understand
I don't know what it is,
why
man.
that keeps coming up, but it's annoying. It's like, okay, Wayne is a legend in his own right. He doesn't need to continually be compared to Jay-Z. He's not Jay-Z's level. It's simple as that. He's not. Wayne doesn't have a blueprint. He doesn't have a Black Album. He doesn't have a Reasonable Doubt. Simple as that. Like, I don't even need to say any more than that. And let's be honest, like Wayne came in when he was like what, 14, 15 years old, whatever it was, when he was hot boys. He was doing his wobbly crap. You know, Jay had his speed rapping and whatever. They, you know, so they changed their styles over time. But Jay-Z, to compare the two is ludicrous. But if you're comparing their runs, you're comparing a so-called mixtape run to actual albums, sold out concerts, and moments and videos, and owning a label and state property and Rockefeller and all of this kind of stuff. Like, how can you compare a mixtape run to all of that? Like, that's not comparable. I'm saying you've got a couple decent mixtapes compared to, you know what I mean, Reasonable Doubt, Lifetime Volume 2, Black Album, all of that. How are you comparing those two?
This is the thing, exactly. It's longevity of Wayne. I think that's what it is. That's what a lot of people, I think, will look at Wayne. As most people know, I'm not a Wayne fan, but I definitely recognize his impact. You know, I do think he will go down as a legend, if not seen as one already. His run is an important run to hip hop. Even, you know, the age he came in and all of that, I get that. Do you know what I'm saying? But even with the mixtape thing, even if we are looking at mixtapes, I agree with you. You can't really take a mixtape run compared to, and I hate saying this because people are just going to say, oh yeah, you would say that about Jay-Z. But the difference with Jay-Z's run to some people's run is that Jay-Z's he didn't drop an album that people weren't feeling from the offset, if you know what I mean, like when he was doing the speed rapping or what have you. From 96, his debut, to the point where he retired, his career was a run. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, he always was hitting until he retired. It's like he said, innit? Like, they bowed out themselves. Do you know what I'm saying? No one took them out the game. They came out. Well, people can argue and say 50, you know, had a lot to do with that.
50's run was incredible, but it was very short. Like 50's run was what, 2 albums?
Yeah,
and
G Unit. But it's, once again, it's the mixtapes that people are looking at. And if we're looking at mixtapes, though, someone like 50, I understand why people would talk about 50 as a Hall of Famer, so to speak, if we're looking at mixtapes, not just because it was a good mixtape run, but his mixtape run changed the game in regards to mixtapes.
Yeah, right, exactly.
So I'd understand that. You see what I'm saying? It weren't just a good mixtape run, it changed the game completely.
Yeah.
So
Wayne's didn't change
all these things.
And Jay-Z doesn't have mixtapes to compare.
Right.
Jay-Z wasn't doing mixtapes, bro. You know what I mean? So we're comparing mixtapes to albums. That's like comparing Lidl to Waitrose. Like, it's just like we're comparing a budget store to a so-called high-end store. That's what it feels like. We're comparing, because a mixtape, you can do, the laws are different. Like, you don't have to clear samples and all of that kind of stuff that you have to do for, like, the laws are completely different. So to compare those two runs just doesn't make sense to me. Like, you can put whatever you want on a mixtape. It doesn't have to be like any kind of specific kind of creative story, or, you know, the way that you package an album, like the way he packaged the Black Album. If it's a mixtape, you can just throw random songs on there, ones that didn't make the album, or ones that you just were in the studio and made before. I'll chuck down the mixtape. So to compare the two is stupid to me. You're not comparing albums as far as Jay and Wayne. This isn't going into a Jay and Wayne discussion. This is just saying,
no, but it's valid, isn't it?
You can see comparing runs is very sketchy, because everyone's run could be completely different.
Exactly. No, you're right. And the reason I say run could be considered, that's why I said it might be hypocritical, because not everyone's got a long run. But I mean, I think that the impact that your run made. So even if it was that 50's mixtape run or Wayne's mixtape run or something, or the point I think I'm trying to make is that you can't just be an artist who's had a moment had a good
Right.
moment. Do you know what I mean? A good drop or a single and you will see why I said I'm going to sound hypocritical when I give my list, but I think it has to be more than that. That we need to be able to look at you and say, what have you added to the culture to deserve to be in the Hip Hop Hall of Fame? Do you know what I mean?
Something
Like you said, man.
Like,
yeah.
No, go on, bro.
No, I was going to say hip hop, like you said, this is number one genre. It's 50 years old, thousands of rappers. You can't just be throwing everyone in the Hall of Fame. There needs to be a reason why you can look at that. Whether you agree or not, you need to be able to say, okay, I get it. And that's what people can't seem to do on the timeline.
Yeah,
exactly. They can't understand like objectivity. Do you know what I mean? I don't like him, but I understand why. That's what we're saying. Do you know what I mean? Even some of the people I'm going to put up, I don't particularly like them, if I'm honest. But I wouldn't argue that them being in the Hall of Fame.
I feel that, bro. That's how we need to be, man. I said something earlier about the Benny the Butcher song with J. Cole. Like, I'm not, as you know, that I'm not big on J. Cole at all, but I like the song. I like the song a lot, so I'll play it. So if he does something I like, I'm not gonna say, oh, I didn't like his last album, so I ain't gonna play it. Exactly. If he does something I like, I'm gonna play it. Simple as. I like it, I'll play it. That's how we roll on the Man Knows Hip Hop podcast, man. We don't do all that bias.
All it is.
If we don't. That's how it is, man. So, do you want to throw in your first person? Let's set this off right.
Anyway, the very first person I'm gonna people that's been there. One of the reasons I'm looking at their impact on. Now, if you're talking to heads and you'll say, oh, who's your favorite group? I don't believe anyone's going to say the Sugar Hill. I'm saying people may even mock them to a degree, but we can't argue whether they wrote something or what have you.
They didn't write those rhymes, bro.
No, they didn't. They didn't, and I get that. Do you see what I'm saying? I get that completely. The reason why I'm listing them, if there was a Hip Hop Hall of Fame created tomorrow and it was like, right, Slack, E, who do you think we should put in first, the first sort of nomination? If we're looking at it like that, I think it would be a crime not to put them up. Reason being is because if we're looking at the genre of hip hop and we're looking at when it started getting people's attention, when it started actually being on the charts and things like that, it's going to be rappers' delight. Like the song, hate the song, despise the song, anything about it. If we're tracing hip hop back to its conception and the genesis of it, of when it becoming a thing and hitting people's ears and stuff like that, you can't not mention rappers' delight. And this is why I said it might sound hypocritical now, because there isn't no run, there isn't no there isn't no Sugar Hill Gang. You know, if you've got a better, too short. You know what I'm saying? But the point I'm making is that even though it was a moment or a song, even the impact is undeniable. So I think you can't tell the story of hip hop without mentioning Sugar Hill Gang. Whether they wrote it or not or what have you, I think you can't look at hip hop without mentioning the Sugar Hill Gang. So if I was gonna make a nomination, that's my first nomination. It would be the Sugar Hill Gang.
All right, I see where you're coming from. I could argue about it, but I kind of agree that you have to mention Rapper's Delight. I think that song has to be mentioned. So, but then on the flip side of that, do you put in a group with one banger? All right, so let me put it to you like this.
Yeah.
So Mix-a-Lot has Baby Got Back, right? Some might argue that he had another couple tunes, and he had maybe one or two other songs that I'd say were big. Not obviously not as big as Baby Got Back, but that man has eaten off that song for 30 years, right? That is a song that transcends hip hop. It's everywhere. You find it on adverts, you'll find it at strip clubs, you'll find it on TV shows, like you'll find it everywhere. And for that song, that's one of them songs that just will never be killed, will never die. So would Sir Mix-a-Lot be in a Hall of Fame because he has his run is probably even longer than Sugar Hill's because he's actually got albums
Yeah.
behind him. But if you said the name Sir Mix-a-Lot, everyone will say Baby Got Back. Like no one's really going to attribute him to anything but that song. His career is that, and I'd say that Rapper's Delight basically is Sugar Hill Gang. You know what I mean? So, but I know you're saying that they came in first. Like that was the first, real song. Yeah. But then, just on the flip side of that, I'm looking at it as okay. Yes, they have had that song, and it means a lot to hip hop. But they had nothing after that at all. But I see where you're coming from.
I get that. That's and like you said, I know you get it, but that's why. To answer the question, I wouldn't say Sir Mix-a-Lot, because if the Rapper's Delight came 5 years later, then no, because we'd have already had the genesis and the song that made it possible. The reason I'm saying them is because that was one of the things that started the ball rolling for hip hop to actually be a thing. You see what I'm saying? And that's the only reason why I mentioned. But you're exactly right. It is that. But it's literally only because where in the story of hip hop that song falls. Why I've mentioned and bring in the Sugar Hill Gang. Literally.
All right, cool. I can buy what you're selling. My first nomination, I think I will go for Public Enemy, simply because the 80s basically belonged to Public Enemy and Run DMC, Ello Cool J, a lot of Def Jam artists. But Public Enemy kind of transcended hip hop as well. The political message, the sheer violence of their sound, the difference between Chuck D, Flav, Terminator X, and on the wheels, and you just everything about that group was just something bigger than music. It was just something like 100%. Just a bomb going off. And everyone even outside of music, people had to pay attention to Public Enemy. And their music should not have been making the charts, should not have really been, MTV wasn't big on playing black artists back in the day as it was, you know what I mean? So for them to be playing Fight the Power and, all of them tunes that Public Enemy were putting out, the political messaging that was in all their songs, that was still getting played, that was influencing a lot of youth to walk around with the Malcolm X medallions and, the pride of being black and back to Africa and all of that kind of stuff. A lot of that was all through, Public Enemy and, Native Tongues kind of music. But I'd say Public Enemy because it just meant so much to hip hop. And I don't think, as you said, you can tell the story of hip hop without mentioning Public Enemy. Whether you like them or you don't, I don't think it's possible for you to not mention Fear of a Black Planet or It Takes a Nation or Apocalypse. Like, I don't think you could do that. Like, you have to mention those albums because they were so huge. Me I think I must have been 8 years old at the time, and I'm drawing Public Enemy logos on my school books and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like, that's unheard. Like, if you had a political tiered kind of group today, I don't think they'll be getting through to the children like Public Enemy were getting through to me. You're not going to hear that. You're not going to see it on Twitter and all that stuff. Like, they were just bigger than rap. So I think they just have to automatically be mentioned as a group in the Hall of Fame because they are definitely in the Hip Hop Hall of Fame.
Yeah, no, that's a good shout, man. I know I've shared it before, but I think it's worth saying again, man. As many of you know, it was my big sister that got me into hip hop. When I was playing with my toys and that, she was blasting hip hop, as I always say. But Public Enemy was the one, and you hit the nail right on the head when you said it was bigger than music. I remember my sister when she was 15. Remember, we're in the UK, bro. We ain't got that direct American influence. We're in the UK. She was like 15. I think the first two Public Enemy albums had just dropped, so this would have been like 88, whatever you. And I remember she wrote a letter to Chuck D, man, and was just thanking him because she was saying she wrote a letter to him saying that she's learned more from like their music, just about blackness, bro, like than anything in the schools in the UK were teaching us. You know what I'm saying? And Public Enemy became more than just music to her. Like Chuck D was her idol. You know what I'm saying? He was like her teacher kind of thing. And when she met him years later, she told him, and it was just a beautiful thing to behold. But yeah, like you said, man, Public Enemy, brilliant shout, man. More than music, yeah. You can't not put them in, man. Yeah, good shout, man. I hear that. All right, so number 2 for me. Who did I have next? Right, so I had Curtis Blow. Next, staying in the same vein.
I know exactly why you put Curtis Blow in there.
You know it, bro. Once again, I know I'm probably going to say that a couple times today, but I feel you can't really tell the story of hip hop once again without Curtis Blow. And I know there wasn't I know he's still sort of doing this thing in regards to shows and things that were still going on. But I just feel with him, obviously the first like major signing to like a major record label, I think it was Mercury. He was the man. Do you know what I mean? He was the man. I mean, even people like Run DMC were styling themselves. I think it was Run that was saying he was like Curtis Blow's son or something like that, you know, just the style, like saying that he's birthed us, you know what I'm saying? So the same sort of sentiment with Sugar Hill Gang, with Blow, I believe that he actually showed, Sugar Hill's like, yeah, this is hip hop. Curtis Blow was almost like, and it's a force to be reckoned with. Do you know what I mean? We can get signed to major labels, we can actually make money, we can have hits. I mean, in the 80s, I remember seeing, not me physically seeing it, but when you're looking back and just looking at hip hop and things like that, there'll be shows and all concerts of all these big R&B artists or soul singers, and Blow might be like the only hip hop act that was on the bill as well. Do you know what I'm saying? So he definitely kicked down a lot of doors and opened a lot of doors for hip hop to become what it is today. And at the risk of repeating myself, you can't tell the story of hip hop without mentioning Curtis Blow. So yeah, if we done a hip hop tomorrow, I'll put him down.
Yeah, like wasn't he like referred to quite often as like the first superstar in hip hop?
Yeah, because of the major signing and the backing and that everything like that. Yeah, because I know it's a whole different world now, in it. Like it's almost looked down upon to be on a major label now because the independent and the underground scene is thriving. But I know back then, bro, when a major label is saying I want to sign you, they're saying I've got confidence in who you are. Like I trust that because all the major labels want is money, innit? So what they're saying is that you're going to bring us money. Like people don't like you. You're a big enough star to actually make it worth my while to sign you to the label. So yeah, he probably would be considered as like the first big star of hip hop. Do you know what I'm saying? So yeah, definitely Curtis Blow, man. Definitely Curtis Blow.
Yeah, I mean, I can argue that back again with a similar argument with Sugar Hill Gang, but again, I understand what you're saying with that choice. So yeah. All right. I'm not gonna go in any kind of order. I mean, we can go through the whole 80s and pick like a slew of people. You know what I mean? That would be worthy for many, many, many different reasons. Like, you know, we could throw out Grandmaster Flash and the Furious 5 because, you know, the message was so, again, bigger than hip hop. Like it was, I mean, I was a certain age when that song came out to not be able to really appreciate exactly what was being said in the song. Like I thought it was cool the way the song started and the way it sounded. The Ice Cube sampled that same beat later on down the line. But there was something about that song that was just, I don't know. It just, like you can hear it anytime and it won't sound, it just sounds like, yeah, exactly, bro. You said it right. It's just important. It feels like it's bigger than just the song that you'll throw on. It's almost like, it's not just what Melly Mel is saying on the song, but it's like here is hip hop. This is what hip hop sounds like and what it is. And it was just felt like it was a moment. Or it is a moment. Like we're talking 40 years or whatever since it came out. You could put that song on now and people will still be jamming. It's like I'm not comparing it to Michael Jackson, but I'm saying like in any setting you could put that tune on.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
Settings you could, you know what I mean? So yeah, similar to that. But my next pick, I think I'm gonna go with Queen Latifah for my next shot. And the reason I'm gonna pick Queen Latifah is because as a female MC, or as an MC in general, forget all the female MC shit. Just as an MC, she's done a lot, bro, that she doesn't get credit for, that I see a lot of other people who are not as worthy getting credit for. And when people are talking about the best female MCs, I feel like they leave her off, and I don't understand why. Because when I say she's done everything, she's done everything.
She's brilliant, bro.
She's run a label. She's dropped fire albums. And being like the only woman, you know, on the flavor unit or whatever, and being like the manager, like the head of the snake. Like, people don't talk about this enough, bro. Like, we don't see that now. We don't see women leading crews and stuff like that. Like, we don't see it.
I agree.
She was very as a, you know, she was very all hail to the sister and all of that kind of stuff. Like, very Afrocentric, very native tongue influenced music. Her Only Love is, I think that was the first like all female rap song. You know, that was quite big. She's done movies. She's done TV shows. She's done Broadway. Like, she's done a jazz album. She sings. She does reggae, and like, you can't say any of it is bullshit. Like, you know, if someone tries their hand at something new and you're like, bro, like, put that down. Like, that's not you. It's
Snoop Dogg.
You sound, yeah, like, you're just trying your hand at all this shit and it ain't really working. You know what I mean? But it did. Like, on the Black Rain album, she had like that Weekend Love tune, and that could have sounded terrible. Like, that could have been awful. But that's a tune. Like, that's a, you know what I mean? You can slam that on anywhere. What's the other song? Just Another Day.
Yeah, she's singing on that as well.
The rest of the album, she's going hard. Like, she's rapping her ass off. But on that song, she's like laid back. She's just kind of singing melodic. And that shit don't get enough props, in my opinion, bro. So I'm gonna big up Queen Latifah right now, and I'm gonna put her in the Hall of Fame because she's done it all. She's done it all, bro. More than a lot of these dudes who are getting props, getting sucked off on the timeline every day. Latifah has done it. Like, she's been a massive movie star, TV show, everything. So put her in there, man. Put Queen Latifah up there high.
Yeah, now I'm with you, bro. I fully agree with you there, man. She's an all-rounder, man, like you said, and her acting is brilliant. I mean, she's even doing that Equalizer right now as we speak. She's done all like talk shows and all of that. Yeah, like you rightly said, man, she's put her hand in a lot of things, but she does them well. And this isn't like trying to have a pop at anyone or anything like that, but she's never had to sort of use anything else other than skill to get people's attention. Do you know what I mean? She's always been on the awareness to exactly. And she can rap, man. Speaking of Flavor Unit, one of my favorite posse cuts of all time is that Flavor Unit track where you know, Heavy's in it, Tretch is in it. Like, that's it, Roll with the Flavor. Chipley's in it, and everyone's in it. And I'm not just saying it. She had probably one of the best verses in that song, bro.
Yeah,
killed it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, man. Props to Latifah, man. Good shout. All right, so yeah, to mix up the order a bit, like you said, then my third choice would be Tupac. I'm gonna go at Tupac, definitely. I know I was going in a vein of sort of, you know, the genesis and the conception of hip hop, but just to throw a little curveball in, definitely Tupac. Reason being, as we spoke about at the beginning of the show, criteria. I said one of the most important things should be impact. What have you done for the culture? Tupac is arguably the most iconic rapper ever. You see what I'm saying? I think you go to any country in the world. Yeah, any country in the world. I mean, people have had their runs. You know what I mean? Like, people know 50, don't know people who've had big runs, don't know Jay-Z, whatever. Tupac, I think, once again, transcends music. Now, I'm not going to go off on one because, yeah, it's more than that. Like, you know, he's my second favorite rapper of all time. Not because of his technical ability, even though I think he's a brilliant rapper. It actually annoys me when people are, oh, he's not technical, he's not a lyricist, blah, blah, blah. He is. You see what I'm saying? Once again, I'm probably going to get gunned down for this. Me and My Girlfriend is the greatest hip-hop track about a gun ever created, right? People say, oh, do you know what I mean? Nas is I Gave You Power. Yeah, people say, you know, organized confusions.
Yeah,
bro. Sorry, I've heard, unless there's some that I've missed, of course. I ain't saying I've heard everything, but every time I've said that and people have had a rebuttal, I've listened to it. If I haven't listened to it already, most of them I've already known, obviously, but it don't compare, bro. Like, he does that masterfully, bro, masterfully. It's skillful how Nas done it and everything like that. But bro, like, to this day, I know someone that still thinks he will argue with me and say, no, he is talking about a woman. Like, to this day, they'll be like, no. First verse is a gun. Second verse is a woman. Like, no, it's a gun. That's how brilliant it's done. You see what I'm saying? Like, bro, let me stop. But trust me, like, it's incredible. It's incredible. But not just for me and my girlfriend, but I just think his music is more than music. You see what I'm saying? He's a poet. You can see that in his writing, as I spoke about so many times before. His passion, his balance, the things he speaks about, like what he's going through, how he conveys things, bro. I just think he's more than an MC, and his impact on the culture. Same way like how Allen Iverson impacted the NBA. No one is really having, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't remember no one having the braids and all the jewelry and all that and the tattoos and all that before Allen Iverson.
AI was different, bro. AI was different.
Right. And look how the culture changed. Look how he changed the culture of basketball and the appearance of it. Tupac is that for hip hop. You see what I'm saying? I'm not saying no one had tattoos and no one had bald head or bandanas before that, but Tupac changed it. You see what I'm saying? Maybe not from the very beginning. I get that. So people need time to grow and develop and different things. But what we're talking about is the impact that he left on the culture. Tupac is still compared to people, still compared to other MCs to this day. You know what I'm saying? He's been dead over a quarter of a century. Still compared to people who is only 25. He never had like 15 albums. You know what I'm saying? He had a handful of albums. And in the first couple, I think he was still sort of developing himself anyway. His acting, he's had loads of films that I think are good films. You see what I'm saying? Books, poetry. I just think his impact on the culture and on a whole, once again, if there was an induction, I'd definitely put him up for that, man. Tupac for the Hip Hop Hall of Fame, without a shadow of a doubt. Transcends hip hop, man. Definitely. So yeah, Tupac.
I mean, I don't need to really add on to anything that you said there. I think Tupac speaks for himself, which alone puts him in the Hall of Fame. You know what I mean? You don't even need to explain why he needs to be there. Right behind that, I could just go with Big, but that would be way too predictable, and people don't want predictability. So
there you go.
I'm gonna go with the one and only incomparable Wu-Tang. And you know, the fact that we were talking earlier about another MC or one MC being put in before the Wu-Tang is taking a piss, bruv. Simple. I don't need to explain what they've done. We've gone over it on a previous show. Everything from Wu wear to the murals to the tattoos to the impact of the Mystery of Chess Boxing, Protect Your Neck, Method Man, their debut album, the videos, the Yo MTV Raps appearance. I mean, nothing really more needs to be said. The logo alone, you could put that logo anywhere in the world and people know what it is. There's no way that they should not be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So F that, we're putting them in the Hip Hop Hall of Fame immediately because it doesn't need to be explained. You know what I mean? How brilliant. What they've done will never ever be replicated again. To have one man producing for the group and then producing classic solo albums that all sound different from each other. Whenever, bro, like I don't think we appreciated it. Obviously, we appreciated it. We gave them our money and our time and our love and our dedication. But did we really understand what was going on at the time?
Nah, definitely not.
Do you think like now one man can head a crew of 9 people, produce albums for all of them individually, make them all bang, and not be reaching for radio? Like, do you know how incredible it is? Like, this is just insane when you think about it. Insane. And to keep 9 hustlers, drug dealers, like Ghostface was a criminal, bro. Like, he was a straight up thug. He was like, and you've got this man coming to the studio to make music, But he's busting his gun and doing this and that and the third on the roads, bro. Like, it's not human what RZA did, and it's not only him. I'm saying all of them because they all contributed. They've all done their bit. You know what I mean? Whether it be the books later or they've got the TV show, and they could definitely have an amazing film. But I think the story would be too long for a movie. I think a series is right because to tell the story from all 9 perspectives and how it came about, I don't think you can cram that into 2 hours. I think you need, I think you need a series. So that alone in itself, you can probably find a hell of people now. You know what I mean? Just out on the road who have got a Wu-Tang tattoo somewhere on them. That's men and women.
Yeah,
women. I've seen women with tattoos. What more needs to be said, bro? They need to put the first ones in, regardless if they came in '92. Their impact was like a megaton bomb on hip hop.
Yeah, man.
That will never be seen again. So,
yeah, fully agree, man. Everyone knows how I feel about Wu-Tang, man. One last thing I will say, I think the reason, for me, one of the reasons why Wu-Tang has to be brought in, like you said, man, we ain't seen anything like that before. But just, I think if you was to take, like, if you were to do a survey, take 100 hip hop, I don't mean casual fans, I mean 100 heads, and ask them, like, their favorite hip hop albums, like their top 5 or top 10. There's gonna be a Wu product in there, whether it's or solo album. There's gotta be Wu products.
There'll be some Wu influence in there.
Come on,
it
has to be. Unless you just totally don't like that style or sound at all, then there's gonna be Wu in there somewhere, no matter where you're from. So yeah, definitely good shout. Wu-Tang, man, Wu-Tang forever, man. So I'm gonna go with, for my number 4, I'm gonna go with Ello Cool J.
Yep.
Once again,
can't deny it, man.
Definitely, man. And we've had this discussion a lot on the timeline when it comes to things like your favorites list and your GOAT list. Ello Cool J isn't on my top 10 favorite list, but he is on my.
Not in my top.
No, exactly. But he would be in my top 10 GOAT list if I was creating a GOAT list.
Absolutely.
To me, I don't see how he could be. The same sort of reasons when you were speaking before about your choices. Same with Ello, about Latifah when you're speaking with Latifah. Same with Ello. He was like, what was he, 16 or something when he got signed to Def Jam? He was a man, bro.
And then debut dropped to 18. Was it?
Yeah, I think he got signed at 17, dropped something at 18. Yeah, he was the man. Do you know what I'm saying? There's no doubt about that. Even when you watch Crush Grooves, the little he's iconic. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's funny when you picture hip hop, even though it may be stereotypical and wrong, if you picture hip hop or 80s hip hop or early hip hop, you're gonna picture someone that looks like LL or Run DMC. Do you know what I'm saying? Like he's iconic. He's iconic. Do you know what I'm saying? His music, I personally think I'm a big fan of people that can show emotion in their music and do well. You know what I'm saying? And I think LL done that. Maybe he got a bit carried away with it and done it a bit too much.
Made some mad choices, bro. We made a lot of mad choices, and as time went on, they got mad. Like, he started doing just bad albums, man, just bad music and just corny stuff.
Without a doubt. His early work, though, his first couple of albums.
You can't front on LL, man. Like, you can say you don't like his music. I was never a fan of LL, and I pretty much stopped after '95. I think when Mr. Smith came out.
Yeah, same.
That was probably like my final straw with him. I mean, he brought out.
I like that album though.
He brought out Phenomenon. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That was the final album that I think he brought out GOAT that I liked a couple tunes on, like Ill Bomb and another couple songs, but the rest of it I was just like, no, it's just, I don't know. I don't think his style changed enough. Like with the times, I think he just sounded, I don't know, just his style of rap. Like he didn't do any better than Mama Said Knock You Out, in my opinion. I think that's his best album still. And I don't think he moved. I mean, he was doing different types of songs, you know, like the backseat of my Jeep and I Need Love and all that kind of stuff. Fine. And he did what he did well. He gained a massive audience from it. Cool. But I don't know, something about when he tries to rap hard again just never hit for me after that. It was just like, I don't know.
I know what you mean. I know what you mean,
anymore.
and I think, how did you feel about? Because I know what you're saying. You see, once again, there's a difference between what you know and what you lived. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
And when I came into hip hop, LL weren't really popping anymore like that. Do you see what I'm saying?
nah, he was
He had a dip, and then he came up again with
came back.
your 95 with those like Phenomenon and Mr. Smith and that. Now for me, I shot ya. Like I could take him seriously as a hard MC. Obviously the beef with Wyclef, and Cannabis, sorry, and stuff like that. I could take him seriously, and I used to think, right, at that point of his career, to still be doing what he's doing is impressive. So songs like I Shot Ya, which is one of my favorite pussy cuts of all time. Like I think he doesn't have my favorite verse at all, but it doesn't dip because of him. You know what I'm saying? So the point I'm making, I think, you know what I mean? I think he's still done his thing hard, long into his career. You see what I'm saying? And even now, with the acting and everything he's doing, I think he's an iconic MC. People will look at him. The respect will always be there. I may be wrong, so don't quote me, but I think Queen Latifah might have even said that he's her favorite rapper. I might be wrong. I may be imagining that, but I think I remember her saying that.
He would be a lot of MC's favorite rappers though, because if you think about it, when they were growing up, he was the man.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So it would not really make sense that they were going to his shows and they were trying to emulate him and all of that kind of stuff. So it makes total sense. But he was never the best for me. He was never the guy for me. He was always just there, just making songs.
You know, I've noticed though, people who came in maybe 5 years before us, they're not that we don't respect LL, because I know we do. Yeah, do you know what I'm saying? And I think that's what it is, bro. It's almost like I don't know if this is a reach, but it's almost like how Nas would be looked at for our generation is almost how like LL was looked at for people in that generation. I know it's only like a 5 years. I'm not saying generation like they're 20 years apart, but you know what I'm saying? 5 years in hip hop at those stages was a long time.
It was longer than that. It was about 10 years. It was about 10 years.
Yeah,
because
5 years in hip hop
his
now
debut was what, 84, 85. About 10 years, bro. It's about 10 years.
Yeah, radio, yeah, exactly.
Radio, and then Illmatic was what, 94? So you're talking 9-10 years.
Wow, yeah, I didn't even think about it like that.
So
when you think about it, then and then Mama Said Knock You Out was his, don't call it a comeback, but his comeback album in 90, I think that was, in it. So when you think about it, bro, like that's only 5 years. That's only 5 years. Some people are still like 5 years in hip hop then was like 15 years, but now 5 years in hip hop now, because a lot of it is so samey. You know what I mean? But 5 years in the early stages of hip hop was a long time, bro.
Even 5 years, bro. Like now, who's that dude that's getting slammed now? And everyone was saying he was the greatest last year or whenever he dropped an album, and now he dropped another album this year, and everyone's like, nah, that ain't it, bro. And then they're just off him. What was it? Roddy Ricch? Is
probably.
It's literally come and go like a one night stand. It's ridiculous.
That's what I'm saying, bro. That's what I mean.
It's like,
so yeah, LL, man,
you're the biggest thing ever, just basically. So
because it's too in this
Yeah.
generation, like it's fast food generation, isn't it? So it's almost like people put out music last week, this week they want a new album. You know what I'm saying? So time now is just like
from the same person.
From the same person, do you know what I'm saying? So it's just different. But yeah, now LL was the man. I think people that are slightly older than us, they revere him a lot more. But like never one of my favorites.
Yeah.
But I see it though, man. You listen to his old I see it, man. He had a good balance of his music.
Yeah, I see it. I understand.
Definitely, man. So yeah, that would be my number 4.
And I'll make fun of it. But I wouldn't really I wouldn't really speak against his career, though. You know what I mean? I'm just making fun of him just because he's easy. He makes the fun out of himself, really. So it's just easy to do. Yeah, exactly, man. Like I can't really go against that. So yeah, LL definitely needs to be in there. Who will I pick next as my fourth, isn't it?
Fourth, yeah.
all right, again, I'm gonna kind of try to, not go for the obvious. Well, it will be obvious, but not like in the stages of doing everyone from the 80s who should be in there. But I'll put Snoop in there, and I'll put Snoop in there because I never expected the man who made, or who was a big part of the Chronic, the man who made Doggy Style, to be the celebrity he is today.
Yeah.
Like you were like an NWA's like kind of bastard child, where you were like F the police and murder was the case, and very like just gangbanger on wax. And to go from that guy to having a cooking show or whatever with Martha Stewart and being a fake Rasta and doing a gospel album, and now you've bought Death Row back again, and you were on No Limit, and you were with Dre is the biggest thing in the world, and then you weren't with Dre, and then you were trying to get your career back, and you shit with Suge Knight, try to off you, your relationship with Tupac like wasn't very good at the end by all accounts. Like he's had a hell of a life in hip hop, bro. Like he's getting off with that murder charge as well, which obviously saved his life. He's done, like he's had a bad career. He's kind of done everything, and I think the thing with him is he can do anything. He can do a Just Eat advert, and people won't take the piss out of him. Snoop.
Very true.
And it's weird because there's normally someone who'll be like, he's this or he's that, but with Snoop, it's almost like anything he does is accepted by everybody. And it'll be men, women, children will be like, oh, Snoop. And when you think about the music he was doing when he came out, like for children to be like, oh, I love Snoop, or women to be like, I love Snoop. My mom hated him, hated. Passion. She couldn't.
Same.
And it's bad because anytime I play music, like she was just, I hate that Snoop. But if she saw him on the advert now, she wouldn't be too offended as she was back then. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And yeah, bro, like I don't know, his career's just been crazy, and just for that, he's so recognizable anywhere in the world. If he went anywhere again, everyone will know who Snoop Dogg is, right?
Yeah.
One of the biggest debuts in hip hop history by far. I mean, I'm not a fan of his music, and I haven't been for a very long time. Pretty much like after Doggy Style, there's some songs I like, but do I listen to full albums after Doggy Style? No, I don't really, if I'm being honest. So, but when you think of the career that he's had, it's crazy. He's had a hell of a career. And he's been in it for 30 plus. So yeah, I think this year I'll make like 30 because 92 was when he first came in the door. So this year will make 30 years of Snoop, bro.
That's mad. Yeah, that's mad.
When you think about 30, you know what I'm saying? That's like 30 years, bron, and he's still on TV adverts, and he does a great live show. But I think the one thing I'd say about him is for all that mad career from being and doing it in hip hop and still being credible. Because a lot of people go and do mainstream stuff, and it's like, you're not hip hop no more. You're not credible. But he can go and buy Death Row and be like, I'm still nothing's changed, and everyone will accept that. So I don't know. I just think he's another one who he's bigger than just being a rapper. He's like Snoop, the celebrity now. He's like Snoop, but he's not like a corny like Kanye. Do you know what I mean? He'll still smoke weed and do all the things that maybe you shouldn't be doing, anti-establishment kind of stuff, but people just accept it because it's Snoop. So yeah, he's bigger than just a rapper. He's like a just like a juggernaut of a celebrity, I guess, that he's made himself into, and not famous for no reason like other celebrities are, So I just think he's one that has to, bro. He's got a great case.
Yeah, no, fully agree, man. My son, he's 8, man. His favorite advert is that Just Eat advert with Snoop rapping and that, man. He always raps along with it, comes on and that. You know what I'm saying? He loves it, man. So yeah, it's true. It's Yeah, what can you say? I saw something where he was wrestling, man. He was like jumping off the top rope onto someone, man. I don't even know what was going on there, but it's just like,
Yeah, I saw that as well. Yeah,
it's
literally,
just
bro.
like he's always
He's
somewhere,
done
man.
everything possible.
Yeah, that's
Always, always up to something.
He's everyone's favorite uncle, isn't it? Nah, shout out to Snoop, man. Yeah, no, that's a good shout.
That's it. Yeah, that's it. Uncle Snoop. Yeah, for real, bro.
All right, so
Who's your number 5, man?
okay. My number 5, I'm gonna have to go back to the 80s for this. It would be Run DMC. I'd put in Hip Hop Hall of Fame, Run DMC. Same reasons for Curtis Blow and Gang, and even LL to a degree. I think Run DMC are probably one of the most iconic hip hop groups of all time. When you're looking at the conception of hip hop, the part they played in the early stages, Def Jam is arguably probably the most legendary hip hop album. Hip hop label ever. Run DMC, you know, obviously his relation there with Russell, their look, you know what I mean? I think they're first sort of MCs as well, or rappers to be endorsed by clothing brands. Did I mean with the Adidas? Everything he was doing was the Adidas, if I'm not mistaken. Even the Aerosmith crossover, you know what I mean? The whole them even just doing the whole rock and rap merging thing. Yeah, man. And I will say this, I'll probably be gunned down. I've never been a big Run DMC fan. Once again, I think it's just probably the age I came in. I know my sister loved Tougher Than Leather, and that was playing a lot in our house growing up. I remember the vinyl there, but I just think when you think about hip hop, you got to mention Run DMC. Do you know what I'm saying? From the look of hip hop, the sound, the crossover to rock, the impact on charts, the endorsement from music. I think they were probably, I know I mentioned it about Curtis Blow and being signed to Mercury, what have you. But if we're looking at people that really made outsiders or even people inside hip hop think that, you know what, I can actually make money from this thing, it would probably be Run DMC. Do you know what I mean? That really made think, this actually can be something. You know what I mean? So yeah, man, that would be my last nomination for the Hip Hop Hall of Fame, man. Run DMC. Rest in peace to Jam Master Jay.
Yeah, once again, can't front on that choice. That's pretty much an obvious choice. If you know hip hop, you know how big and important Run DMC are. Like, yeah. So can't argue that, my brother. My last one, I'm gonna go for Nas, and there's a specific reason. Nas that I think would be down as an obvious choice. I would hope he'd be people's obvious choice. But the reason that I picked Nas is because of, I've been thinking about this a bit, like with his last resurgence of music that he's been doing. And I'm like, Nas has a really strong case for being the greatest rapper of all time. Because for him to still be releasing albums now of the quality that he's releasing albums is unheard of, bro. I mean, we've got people, we've got his competition who, like, we don't know what Puck might have been the greatest actor of all time. Biggie might have just been doing like label head stuff right now. We don't know if they would have been around as long as Nas has, making the music Nas is. But I think he's ticked all the boxes. Like there's literally the only thing I don't rate about Nas is his live show. I've seen him a few times live, and he's okay, but he doesn't make me think I want to go back and see him again. It's like, oh, okay, I'll see Nas, I can tick that off my list. But he doesn't make me feel like that was a great show. Do you know what I mean? So that's the only thing I can really say against him. But the rest, I'm just like, from you being coveted as the golden child of hip hop before you even dropped the album, to you dropping the album to live up to the hype. And he's literally done it all. He's released great albums. He's released trash albums. He's he made himself very successful, you know, outside of hip hop as well. And for him to then now come back and just be releasing stuff not because he has to. That's the beautiful thing about it as well. It's not like he's on a label and it's like you have to release this or you're on a deal and whatever. he's owning the label, so he can drop when he wants. And for him to be like, yeah, I'm just feeling like this. This is what I'm gonna record. I'm gonna put it out. I think that's a great thing to see, man.
I agree, man. I agree.
And for someone of that caliber doing it well for this long, like in 2 years' time, it's gonna be 30 years for him. And then it's like we need to start. I think we need to start really respecting and acknowledging these people. Like, dude, 30 years, bro, that these men have been rapping into a microphone, making music. The amount of raps and words that they put, and you know what I mean? Like, you're doing 3 verses per song most of the time. Like, how many rhymes do you think like these dudes have gone through since the 90s to now, making them all different and coming up with fresh ideas and all of this for 30 years, bro? That is a hell of an achievement, man.
I agree, man. I agree.
And yeah, I just think like there's, for me to see the resurgence that he's made after the Nas era album, and everyone's just like, all right, Nas, take it easy now. You've done too much.
Yeah.
For him to come back so strong, it's like you can't really make a case against him at the moment. I don't think. Well, you can, but he's literally done everything. He's influenced. He's changed the game. He's gone away. He's come back strong more than once. Yeah, man. I think he's got the full package. So he's got a very strong shot, I think, for being labeled as Big is my favorite and always will be all the time. And yeah, I would have him as one of the greatest, obviously the greatest. The only thing that hinders him is that he was taken so early.
Too soon, yeah.
I think, yeah. I think Nas has to be up there, man. Has to be.
Yeah, that's a good shout, man. I hear that. Like you said, from the moment he came on the scene, obviously, the impact he made. You know what I'm saying? Always being compared to people. Illmatic has always been compared to every album that's ever released. You know what I'm saying? No, there's no doubt about that, man. I see that. I think the only thing where you said it lets him down about the live show, I think Nas don't.
He's battled everyone too. When you think about, everyone came for Nas at some point. Everyone
definitely, yeah.
Him, and he's taking
no doubt. Yeah, no, true. I was going to say, I think the only thing that let him down in regards to you saying about the live shows is because I just don't think he makes the music that is for live shows. You see what I'm saying? Like when he does try and do music, do you know what I mean? It's like Braveheart Party and things like that. You know what I'm saying? I just don't like at concerts. He don't really have the vibe or the, because if you think about it, his whole character is very laid back and chilled, isn't it? He don't really seem to get excited much, so I think that's portrayed in the live shows. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, no, that's a good shout. I definitely see.
What I always said about Nas was that he lacks charisma, and
yeah,
there was just that X factor. Like, you're a great rapper, you make good albums. You know, you're obviously very intelligent and stuff like that. But I want the I don't know, like the pizzazz, the kind of, I don't know, like Jay-Z has charisma. You know, so just naturally you think like, and Nas just seems like, just whatever. He just seems like that kind of character. So I think his music is good for albums, but it's not as good for live shows. Yeah. But that's cool. It's not like a major slight against him. It's just like, you know, if you really have to take it down to the wire, you have to say, yeah, the live show's okay, but it's not the best. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's a good shot, man. Good list.
So yeah, man, that's the top 5. Have you got any that you wanted to squeeze in but just didn't make the cut? Any honorable mentions?
Yeah, one of the ones that I was really thinking about was gonna be Rakim. So I'd probably have to say Eric B and Rakim. Once again, just for his impact, more on a lyrical thing. Do you know what I'm saying? Once again, I'm not saying people weren't rapping technically before he came on the scene, but I think he definitely caused MCs to step up with their their lyrical onslaught, I'll say. You know what I'm saying? With Rakim. So if we're looking at impact, once again, if you speak to a lot of people for their top 10, probably 90% of people will say Rakim's in their top 10 or top 5. So you know the impact that he's made on hip hop. People might say some of his earlier albums, some of the greatest albums in hip hop. You know what I mean? Paid in Full, so on and so forth. So yeah, I would if I was to throw out an honorable mention, it would be Rakim. Whether that would be Rakim and as a group or just him as a solo MC, what have you. But yeah, definitely it would be a Rakim.
Yeah. Nah, again, wouldn't really agree with that. Disagree with that. Sorry. You can't really have a Hall of Fame without Rakim in there. So yeah. All right. Well, let us know what you think about our picks. If there's any dodgy ones in there or anyone that you think that we should have thrown in. But bear in mind, we tried to mix it up because if we just went from the very first person all the way through, it might be a little bit obvious or whatever. So try to mix it up a little bit. But yeah, who would you throw in there as your top 5? Not even top 5, but just 5 people that you think deserve to be in the Hip Hop Hall of Fame. And I'm going to start running a campaign about our own Hall of Fame bars.
Trust me,
that has to happen. We need it. And if I'm going to be the voice to keep on pushing that and banging that drum and talking about we need our own Hip Hop Hall of Fame, then so be it. That's what I'm going to do. So hopefully this is just a start, and then we can start celebrating having our own Hip Hop Hall of Fame like every 3 years or whatever, induct another person or something along those lines. But I think that's something that could be really dope, man. So once again, thank you very much for tuning in to the show. Much appreciated. Big love. So yeah, we'll sign out up until next week and our next show. So all the best from me, Slack, and my co-host extraordinaire.
You made much love. Appreciate you joining, man. We'll see you again next week, man.
Next week, man. Bless everyone.